Happy Siblings Day to anyone with siblings out there. I've got 6 of them, and I'm very fortunate and blessed that we're all close, um, especially with the tough road we've had lately with some losses, and so it's been really great to have them to lean on. Happy Sibling Day to you, Mary, sister from another mister. And yeah, so I think that's good. So I hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope you're ready to dive into this week. We're going to be talking about support and accountability tonight, which are the 2 things you absolutely need to get anything done. Most people need to get anything done, but really, if you're looking to make big changes, conquer big dreams, make some real moves in your life, support and accountability are the 2 things you need. So we're going to chat about that tonight. So yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend. Let's see, this weekend we busted our asses on starting the rebuild of the tiny house. For those of you who don't know, we started the build with a contractor who did really crappy work, so we had to demolish it, take it down, dismantle it, which Melissa and I worked on last week. Holy hell, so sore, so tired, up and down ladders, unscrewing about, I don't know, 53,000 screws roughly. Yeah, it was just a lot of work. But yeah, and then we started rebuilding this past weekend with some help of some good people. My brother came down, my 2 brothers-in-law jumped in, this guy Jim, whose property we're building on. It was just, oh my god, it was just so great to have people rally and help us, and got a lot done. So it was a productive weekend. Weather here was gorgeous, as it is today too. Hope it is where you are as well. So yeah, I think that's all for that. Okay, cool. So let's talk about support and accountability. So for those of you who don't know, every week I write a newsletter that comes out on Thursdays. You can have that newsletter emailed to you directly. Sign up for my newsletter at kerryrichardsson.com. And so you'll read the newsletter on Thursday, and then the following Monday is when I dive in even deeper to the topic that I covered on Thursday's newsletter. So last week I talked about the power of support and accountability. I certainly experienced the power of support this past weekend, just to see people come together who care about you, who love you, who want the best for you, and want to help you make your dreams come true. And I experienced that big time this past weekend, which was really awesome. Feels really good to know that you're not alone. So lots of different places you can get support. But, where I want to start out with is, how I find it interesting, and I said this in my newsletter this past week, how self-imposed deadlines hardly work, right? They very rarely work, I find, at least for me and for most of my clients and people I talk to. But having a deadline or some sort of accountability to somebody else makes things happen. I know, and again, I wrote this in my newsletter this past week, that, writing a book on clutter is something I had wanted to do for a long time. I had thought about it for years, had it in my business idea notebook to write an ebook or a regular book on clutter and the messages within clutter and how it's so much more than just stuff. And, I have what I think is a pretty unique perspective on clutter, and people who have taken my courses over the years also agree and are surprised by what they learn by looking at their clutter. So that's something I had thought about doing for a long time. I was fortunate enough that a publisher was interested in the idea. So that's the book I have coming out in August through Hay House. And once they were interested in the idea and I was given a deadline, then holy crap, I could get things done, right? So I was actually able to pick my deadline. I think I signed with them in April of last year, signed the publishing contract with them, and they said, about how long do you think it would take you to write it? And, not having any experience prior to writing a book, I thought, well, I don't know, geez, I have a lot of the content from past blog posts and courses that I had run, etc. But I thought, well, maybe I'll give myself like a month. And I thought, well, that's kind of crazy. I'll give myself 3. So I think May, June, July. Yeah. So I gave myself 3 months, and, that was then in the contract. So now I had a contracted deadline to get this book done, to get the first draft of the manuscript in. And this is something, like, having wanted to do it for years, and just always dropped below, lower and lower on my priority list. Other things came up that were more important or that were more pressing, or so I thought. So I kept bumping it down, bumping it down. And, but once this came on, it was like, holy shit, I got to get this done now. And I did. I mean, I got the whole thing written in 3 months. And every subsequent deadline that has been involved in the process with Hay House, I've met. Whether it's revision deadlines, whether it's some marketing material deadlines. There's been several, 5 or 6 deadlines so far that I've had to hit, and I have, and it's like knowing that somebody else is waiting on you or expecting something from you is really puts the fire under your butt, right? It's like, wow, someone's expecting this from me. And so whether, I don't know whether it's the old student teacher training, like I've got to turn my homework in, or not wanting to disappoint people of authority, like whatever the motivation is, it just works for people. People get stuff done when someone else is involved. I find this with my clients a lot. They'll come to my calls and they'll say, oh my God, I was scrambling yesterday to get my tasks done because I knew we were speaking today. And I thought, great, that's what this is all about. The accountability of a coach helps you to get stuff done that you maybe otherwise wouldn't, or that you drag your feet on. And certainly, sometimes clients come to the calls and they don't have the things done. And it's not a punitive process, right? That's the whole point. Sometimes if I find that clients repeatedly come to the calls without getting their action steps done, that gives us a whole topic to dive into, like where's the self-sabotage coming from? What's stopping you from getting these tasks done? Sometimes we can get the juiciest information from people who don't get the stuff done. But more often than not, when I see my clients move forward, they attribute it to the accountability. They also attribute it to the support. Like just knowing that someone is in your corner and someone is rooting for you and someone is there to help you, to hold you when you feel shaky, to have belief that you can lean on while you're building your own. It's just so important to have that kind of support. Whether you find that support in a coach, a therapist, a friend, a family member, a spouse, somewhere where you can get loving, positive support is so important. I mean, I know some of you watching this have your own support in your life, whether it's your staff or, a spouse, like I said, whoever it may be. Like, think about how much you are able to kind of accomplish, to get through with support. Like I mentioned at the top of this live broadcast, the support of my siblings through the loss of my father and my 2 uncles in the past 4 months or so, the support of my wife Melissa. It's just, some things are just really tough to get through without support. And if you don't have the fortune or the blessing of having family members close by geographically, if you don't have a close relationship, there's still support out there. You just need to get creative in where to look for it. Having also said that, I'm going to take a support of my water bottle. Hold on. It's really important, especially if you're going after big dreams, let's say that, or even if you're needing support through a difficult time. So important to make sure you are looking at the right places for your support. You don't, there's a saying in Al-Anon, don't go to the hardware store for milk. And, it's really true when you think about, if I, let's use the example of my tiny house adventure that we're building. Yes, this has taken much longer than we had ever hoped. It's been, a lot of obstacles leading up to it. Some people are wondering, why don't we just throw in the towel and give up? Or, gosh, maybe this isn't the right move or whatever. Those aren't the people I go to when I'm having a tough time in this process. So I pick and choose. I have a very small group of people who I will lean on, who I will talk to when I'm feeling doubtful, when I'm feeling just shaky, when I'm feeling just pissed off or sad or upset. I have a handful of people who I know I can go to, who will lift me up, who will support my dream, support my vision, remind me that I'll get through this. I'm not looking for blind support. If I was going to make a wrong decision or, screw something up, I want someone to talk to me about it. But um, if, this is something I know I want to do, so I'm not going to look for support from people who just don't get it. So same kind of thing. Yeah, Kathy. Yeah, I'm almost positive that's from Al-Anon. A friend of mine shared that with me that, yeah, don't go to the hardware store for milk. It's like if I need loving, encouraging, safe support, who am I going to go to? And more importantly, who am I not going to go to? Right? So, if there are a lot of times, and I've done this, and I know friends of mine who have done this, and clients as well, who, you might have someone in your life who you really wish could be that kind of support for you, but they're just not capable for whatever reason. It's not because they don't love you, it's not because, they're a bad person. They just may not have the tools necessary to support you in the way that you need, but you keep going back to them in hopes that maybe this time they will, right? Maybe this time they'll be able to give me that kind of emotional support I need. And you go there and you're like, ah, shit, nope, they're still not able to. Every few years I'll do that. I'll go to certain people and I'll be reminded that they're just not equipped to do it. And what sucks is that you get hurt all over again, right? Like when you wish they could be someone that they're not, then that younger part of you gets hurt again. Like, oh man, why can't they just love and support me where I'm at? So it's fine if you want to give them another chance again and again. Yeah, Kathy's nodding. If you want to give them another chance again and again, but just be careful of the toll that it takes on you if you keep going to the wrong people for the kind of support you need. It just the same way that if I know that I'm floundering or I am intentionally ignoring a blind spot and I need a good kick in the ass, I'm going to go to certain people, right? I'm probably not going to go to the people who will just tell me everything I'm doing is fine and it's good and it'll get there. If I need a reality check, I have certain people I'm going to go to. If I want just safe, loving accountability and support, I have other people I'm going to go to. So really important to know who you go to for support. Um, so Mary says, I searched for support in my marriage for 18 years. It took its toll. Right? That's exactly what I'm talking about, Mary. It's like if your husband couldn't be who you needed, it is, you know what? It can feel easier to try and try and try again because the alternative can be really scary. To have the courage to end a relationship or to admit that someone who you thought was one way is not, or someone who you loved, a friend, a spouse, whomever, having to face the reality that they are not capable of being who you think they're capable of being is very painful. And it takes a lot of courage to go, man, you know what? I've spent enough time trying to make him be someone he's not. And so yeah, you tried. You didn't search for 18 years, Mary, but the good news is you're not searching anymore. It's like, well, at least you're not searching in the wrong place anymore, right? So you can look for support someplace else. People who really do love you and who are capable of giving you that kind of support. I don't believe anyone intentionally wants to be bad at supporting the people they love. I just truly believe that everyone has their own past, their own wounds, that if they need to get through their own stuff before they can really support other people. So Mary says, thank God I'm blessed with a hugely supportive family and many friends that boost me up. Awesome. Those are the people you want to go to. And I imagine, when you end a marriage, that's you need a lot of support. So it's good that you have healthy avenues for support. It's so important. So that's kind of the support piece of it, how important it is to have the right kind of support. When people come to me as a coach, yes, they come to me as a safe place to feel supported, but more so they come to me for the kick in the ass and the accountability, right? A lot of people can find support somewhere in their lives, but to find someone who has an unbiased position where they can help you come up with an action plan and hold you accountable to it and question you when you avoid the steps and love and support you when things are just too hard. When you have, to have someone who can really hold you accountable, kick you in the butt when needed, gently. Um, People come to me more so for that, and then the bonus they get is this very safe place of support. So think about what is it in your life that you have been procrastinating on, or like really think of a big goal. I was talking to my brother this past weekend when he was down helping with a tiny house, and we were just, as we were at a holding place, waiting to do some other things, we were just talking about like dreams, and I asked him, I said, what's a wild dream of yours? Like, I know you have kids, I know you run a business, I know you have a wife, I know you have a house, but let's just play make believe. Like, what would be a crazy ass dream for you? And he said, wow, God, he said, a crazy ass dream for me would be to like move to the Keys in Florida, and buy a big, beautiful fishing boat that I would hire a captain. We would charter it out, and when I wanted to use it, it was available. He loves to fish, and the Keys are great fishing down there. So he said that would be a crazy, big, wild dream for me. And so then I just got to talking to him more, and I said, well, why? What if it wasn't a crazy dream? What if it was a doable dream? And so then we just talked about, like, what about when the kids are older and, the business is so successful that you have teams running it for you? Like, you can play make believe, right? And although it can feel like so far fetched that, oh my God, there's no way I could possibly do that, the more you dream about it and play make believe and brainstorm how could you possibly make that happen, it starts to sound less crazy and more doable. So, that idea of getting someone who can support you in dreaming big, who is willing to play make believe with you, who aren't going to be naysayers who say, no, there's just no way you can do that. Cause he and I were talking about my tiny house, and, again, he said, I got to tell you, he said, I can't tell you how many members of the family miss your house, because I had a beautiful home in a beautiful seaside town, across from a 500-acre nature preserve, and I mean, it was a beautiful home in a beautiful location, and people think I'm nuts for having sold it. And yeah, do I miss it? Absolutely. Do I regret my decision? I don't. So, but he and I were talking about that, and I said, yeah, this is my crazy dream. This is my crazy dream for the next, I don't know, 5 years or whatever, and maybe longer. We'll see. But yes, some people will think I'm crazy for selling that house and, building this tiny house, but I choose to have a simple, functional home so I can live big. While my home was beautiful, it was more space than we needed. It was more money than I wanted to spend on a mortgage or on my living, living expenses. 4 hours to do a thorough cleaning, weekends eaten up by yard work. Had just about a half an acre. I don't even remember. Did I have half an acre? Third of an acre. But like had beautiful land, but had to maintain it. And it was like, do I want to spend my life cleaning and doing yard work and fixing things that are broken in a house? The idea of the tiny house, while it seems crazy to other people, when I said that to my brother, I said, I want to live simply so I can live big. Like, I want to have experiences instead of things. That's just a personal preference of mine. And he's like, you know what? I get that. And I said, and I want to do it before it's too late, while I still can. And, fortunately, Melissa and I have created a life that allows us to be mobile and flexible. We capitalize on technology. And at first, when she and I first started talking about it, it did sound crazy. We're like, what are we, nuts? Like, that's not what people do. Yeah, Liz says, I love dreaming, especially when they actually happen. Yeah, I try to remind myself. I saw a meme once online, and I always have it in my head. Don't call it a dream, call it a plan. And just that shift makes you think about, okay, so all right, if this is a plan, and that's what I said to my brother this weekend. I said, well, don't call it a wild, crazy dream. Call it a plan, and start planning for it. Like, maybe that's a plan for 10 years out, 5 years out, who knows? But I love that shift. Like, I feel the energy in my body shift when I call it a plan instead of a dream. So it's like, plan big, sure, dream big, but then it's like, now my dream is a plan. What do I need to do to make it happen? And as evidenced by this tiny house process, you can't possibly know how the whole thing is going to unfold. All you have to know is this dream slash plan important enough to me and a fit enough for me to persevere despite any ups and downs and challenges. Liz says, as soon as our youngest is gone, Matt and I are doing the same thing, getting rid of all the stuff and living our dream. Love it. What is the dream, Liz? I know you're getting rid of all the stuff, so I want to hear more about the dream. Your brother is very lucky to have you. Wise advice, yeah, and I'm lucky to have him. You know, as a side note, watching him work on Saturday, I said to him a couple times, how do you just know how to do all this stuff? Like, you just, there was this thing that I couldn't get out of the trailer that needed to come out. And he's like, oh, it's real easy. You just do this. And I'm like, how do you just know that? So, yeah, we're very fortunate to have each other. So, when you think about what your big dream is, what your big goal is, if you think of it as a plan and you start to act as such, then you really start to put some plans in place. Like Liz, as you were saying, when your youngest is gone, you and your husband want to do the same thing. So my suggestion to you, if you're not already doing it, is to start planning that now. I don't know how many years you have to go until your youngest is gone, but don't wait until your youngest is gone to start planning your dream. Start it now. Start putting some things in place now. So when that time comes, you can jump because you're ready. That's something that Melissa and I have certainly learned during this process is we should have done a lot more planning. We jumped beforehand. That's the kind of person I am, and I'm learning that doesn't serve me well in lots of places. I always say I'm the type of entrepreneur who launches then creates instead of creating something and really, nurturing it and troubleshooting it and then launching it. When I get an idea, I want to jump on it. We probably could have done some more planning when it comes to this. And so we're paying the price. We're learning as we go. But you know what? It's a learning process. And damn it, I could see us teaching about how to build a tiny house come the future. So Liz, travel, write, make and sell jewelry. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, Liz. I love your jewelry. I know I said this before on a Facebook Live, but Liz is, I think you're new to jewelry making, or at least formally. And her Etsy store is Sterling Perch. And her Facebook page as well, Sterling Perch. And it's beautiful stuff. I mean, the stuff she's making is just incredible. Yeah, so it's just awesome. So travel, and her husband is an amazing writer. Oh my God, West of Independence is the name of the book. I'm just gonna keep plugging their stuff because it's amazing. But her husband is an incredible writer. You can find him on Facebook as well, West of Independence, and amazing. I can totally see you guys doing that, Liz, and I'm excited for you. So get planning now. I mean, you already are. You're making the jewelry. He's doing the writing. Think about how you're going to get rid of your stuff. Maybe that's a plan you can do. Oh, thanks, Melissa. Yeah, Sterling Perch. Mary, I have a tear in my eye. Your brother had a large part in helping pushing my dad to retire earlier than expected, and thankful my parents have done a lot of living. Oh, good. So that's probably my other brother, Stephen. I didn't know that. That's great to know. I'm glad. I'm glad your dad retired earlier than expected. Yeah, and your parents have done a lot of living. It's so great. That's so great to hear, Mary. Yeah, so Melissa put down West of Independence and Sterling Perch in the comments there to check out Liz's jewelry and Matt's writing. It's just, they're both amazing. They're just amazing. So I'm so excited for you guys. I can't wait. Liz, how many years before your youngest is out? Not to push your kids out of the house. I'm just curious. So yeah, support and accountability. Two things you need to do. Hey, Sad! Oh my God, I miss you too. It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, good to see you. Yes, my dad praises Stephen often. Oh, good. Yeah, Steve's a good guy. All right, so 4 years, Liz. You got 4 years. 4 years to get rid of stuff, to get a plan in place, figure out where you're going to travel. Awesome. That's a good amount of time. Love it. So support and accountability, the two big pieces you need to make anything come true. Saad here is an incredible photographer. think about like almost daily looking forward to one-on-one cue with thank you, Sad. So yes, put your stuff in there, Sad, for your photography. He is an incredible fashion photographer and just photographer in general, who I haven't heard from in a while, and it's so good to see you. Um, Feel free to put your stuff in the comment stream here, Sad. Uh, so yeah, I mean, the support and accountability piece. When I think about, um, I'm shy. Oh, for Christ's sake, no, you're not. You're such a liar, is what you are. We're all gonna pause and wait until he puts his information in the comments section. Go ahead, Sad. Waiting on you. Everybody's waiting on Sad. Yeah, put it in. Give us links. Yes. Oh, yes. And I want updates, Sad. It's been a long. Thank you. There we go. There's his agency. Love it. See, even Kathy was pausing. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I'm proud of you, Sad. Thank you for putting that up there. That's so cool. I love it. I hope it's going really well. Oh my gosh, people would be so lucky to work with you. Awesome. So, Sad, you can speak to, right, support and accountability. It's important, whether you get it from friends, a coach, therapist, whatever. Anything, I'm sure at some point he felt like there's no way he could shift from photographer to having his own agency. And he did it. He was committed. He was willing to, do the work, and to put himself out there. So, support and accountability are so important. So I want everyone listening to think about, what is it that you could use some support and accountability on to get things moving in your life. Sarah, I know in the past weeks you've talked about your blog. Hopefully you're moving forward with that. And if you're not, think about what is it that you need to move that forward. Mary, if there's changes you want to make at your salon. Oh, good. Liz started following us out on Instagram. Love it. Yes, everyone, please feel free to put your Instagram information in the comments. I would love to connect you all. I would think that would be great. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's my Insta. I'm typing here. Instagram. Embrace your pace. I love it. Yes. Yes, Sad. Embrace your pace. Everyone's pace is different. And all you need to do is one small step forward, one small action step forward and it doesn't matter, like, you don't have to look at the people around you, and we can all look at people around us and feel like they're ahead of us, right? In the tiny house people group that I'm in, I see people building faster than I'm building, or already hitting the road, and I'm like, ah, man. But you have to embrace your own pace. Thank you, San. I'm glad that helped. That was helpful. You have to go, you know what? As long as I am taking consistent steps forward, then I am progressing. I remember when I lived in Massachusetts, I went to this training studio, and I remember the trainer once said, no matter how slow you're going, you're lapping everyone on the couch. Because, during the boot camp, we had to run and do these sprints and stuff, and I'm like, I'm so slow, I'm not a runner. And she's like, listen, doesn't matter how slow you go, you're lapping everyone who's sitting at home on the couch. And I thought, that's so true. So embrace your own pace. No matter how fast or slow you go, it's all about, if you're taking action moving forward, that's all that matters. It is so easy to compare yourself to others. We all do it all the time. But remember, like I've said before, do not compare your life to other people's highlight reels, especially with social media. People put up the highlight reel on social media. People don't often put things up there about the challenges and the struggles. They just put all the good shit up there. So don't compare your pace or your progress, your life, to other people's highlight reels. Sarah, I started to do a bit more work towards it, but I need to do it more diligently. So figure out what you need, Sarah.